Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't think there's any better illustration of this NDP government's empty rhetoric and lack of results on childcare than seeing empty, unused building across from Oakland's Elementary here in Victoria. In 2019, there was this big, splashy NDP announcement promising, quote, "Morning routines will soon be easier for parents," end quote. This government loves to make big, splashy announcements about all of the childcare spaces that are being opened. Earlier this week, 30,500 spaces have been funded. But I think the members, Mr. Speaker, of the other side of the House should be actually embarrassed by the numbers being announced when the reality is it's rhetoric and these spaces are not opened. But 3 years after this 2019 announcement in Victoria, there are no spaces open. Mira Lawrence of the Oaklands Community Association says, quote, "These buildings are going to sit empty unless we find the people to put in them that can provide this childcare." So can the minister tell families that we're counting on these spaces why they sit empty 3 years after they were announced?
Minister of State for Childcare.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. We know that parents in BC have been struggling to access quality, affordable childcare spaces, and that is why, since 2018, as soon as we became government, that we've been working on a comprehensive plan to accelerate the creation of spaces, to lower parent fees, and at the same time supporting early childhood educators who are so critical to fill those spaces. And we've made significant progress in the past few years to make sure that we have the fastest space creation ever in BC's history. I'm more than happy to take back the situation that the member just mentioned and look into it with our staff and figure out how do we support providers to continue to create those spaces. But the reality is, during the past few years, we've funded and supported the creation of over 30,500 spaces, and among them, over 10,000 spaces are already in operation, and more of them will be coming into operation in the coming year. And Honourable Speaker, I just want to put this into perspective. While in a few short years we've funded and already have 10,000 spaces in operation with more to come because 30,500 have already been funded. Here's the truth. From 2001 and 2017, and this is how it could take time to build spaces. In 16 years, there were only about 10,000 spaces that was funded by the government. But in a few years, we've almost triple that. So we are proud of the progress that we've made when the other side of the House actually neglected the crisis for many, many years.
Member for West Vancouver Capilano, supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the rhetoric escalates as do the empty daycares. That is what we're getting from this minister, continued rhetoric. The pictures in the media say it all. There's chairs propped up on top of these tables. There's mats on the floor. There's bookshelves. There's everything except children and educators in this child care centre. In estimates yesterday, the minister admitted that they're only training half of the 2,000 ECs needed each year. So because of the lack of staff, not only are spaces that were announced 3 years ago not open, but Mira also says, quote, "We don't have enough childcare providers today to maintain the services that we have right now," end quote. Instead of continued rhetoric from this minister, will the minister take action so that more spaces don't close under her watch?
Minister.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. I really need to remind the member opposite that if the investment we've made during the past few years, including space creation, saving parents millions of dollars in savings, and also supporting early childhood educators through our comprehensive strategy, if those investments were made even just 7 years ago, parents today would have much more access to affordable, quality, high services childcare. But we are well underway. We're continuing to fund spaces, to support early childhood educators, to support providers with historical investment into childcare. During the past few years, we've invested $2.7 billion in childcare. And when it comes to supporting early childhood educators to fill the spaces, we understand. It is a challenge. Early childhood educators have been struggling with low wages and lack of support for many, many years, for decades. And that is why in 2018, we wrote out comprehensive strategies to support their wages, training, and also education. Our bursary program has been really popular with more and more early childhood educators being registered under our ECE registry. Our wage enhancement, $4 an hour wage enhancement, has moved up an average wage. When I started this work in 2017, it was about $18 per hour. Now it's about $25 per hour for early childhood. Of course, we know we have more work to do. We'll continue to support early childhood educators. We'll continue to increase funding for providers. And this is what Christine Jackson, an early childhood educator instructor, has to say about our investment. Christine said, and I quote, and I hope the member opposite can hear what the sector is saying. She said, it's probably the kind of brightest time ever to come into early childhood education. It seems like people in power really understand now more than ever before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.